My wife always said nobody likes a snoop. So here I am at 2 in the morning, snooping through her dresser drawers like some pathetic detective in a bad movie. The irony tastes bitter as day-old coffee. "Jonah, can you help me with this?" Elise calls from the bedroom, her voice strained with what I'm supposed to believe is emotional turmoil. She's been packing for the last 3 hours, throwing clothes into suitcases with the frantic energy of someone fleeing a crime scene. I lean against the doorframe, watching my wife of 8 years stuff her life into luggage. She's still beautiful auburn hair catching the lamplight, green eyes that once made me forget my own name. Now those same eyes won't meet mine. "Going somewhere special?" I ask, keeping my voice light. Sarcasm is my defense mechanism. Always has been. Don't make this harder than it has to be. She folds a sweater with unnecessary precision. "I told you, Graham and we made a mistake. I'm pregnant, and I can't stay here anymore." Graham, her high school boyfriend, the same Graham Loring who used to torment me in chemistry class, calling me print boy because my dad ran a copy shop. The same Graham who's now some hotshot cybersecurity consultant with a downtown loft and a BMW that costs more than my annual income. Right, the baby. I nod like I believe her. "And you're sure it's his?" Her hand's still on the sweater. "Jonah, please, don't make me say things that will hurt you more." But here's the thing about being married to someone for 8 years. You learn their tells. Elise touches her left earring when she lies. She's been fondling that pearl stud all evening. "Where will you go?" I ask, genuinely curious about the logistics of her deception. "Graham found a place in Portland. His company has an office there." She zips the suitcase with finality. "I know this is awful, but I can't pretend anymore. I don't love you the way you deserve to be loved." At least that part might be true. I help her carry the bags downstairs, playing the role of the supportive, soon-to-be ex-husband. Our neighbor, Mrs. Rourke, is probably watching from her window. The old woman has made neighborhood surveillance her retirement hobby. "I'll send for the rest of my things," Elise says, standing in our living room like she's already a stranger. The room still smells like the lavender candles she loves. Loved. Past tense now, I guess. "Take your time." I'm amazed at how calm I sound. "I'll box everything up." She looks surprised, maybe even disappointed. Did she expect me to beg? To fight for her? "Sorry to disappoint, sweetheart, but I've got other plans." A car horn honks outside. Graham's BMW, no doubt. "That's him," she says, grabbing her purse. "Jonah, I want you to know, save it." I open the front door for her. Some things don't need saying. Graham gets out of his car, all 6 feet of entitled arrogance. He's wearing a leather jacket that probably costs more than my mortgage payment. His dark hair is perfectly styled, his smile perfectly practiced. He nods at me like we're old friends. "Jonah, sorry about all this, man." "Are you?" I ask, helping load Elise's bags into his trunk. "Sorry, he shrugs. "Sometimes these things just happen." "Yeah, sometimes they do." That's when I slip him the folder. Just a casual handoff while we're both reaching for the same suitcase. He doesn't even notice. "You sure you know what you're buying?" I mutter, loud enough for him to hear. He gives me a confused look, but Elise is already in the passenger seat, crying prettily into a tissue. Graham gets behind the wheel and they drive off into their new life together. I wave from the porch like the perfect ex-husband. Then I go back inside and pour myself 3 fingers of bourbon. I've got work to do. The folder I gave Graham contains a copy of Elise's medical records from last year, specifically the fertility specialist's report that clearly states she's been sterile since a bout with endometriosis in college. No babies. Not now, not ever. I found the records while helping her organize our insurance paperwork last month. She'd hidden them in a box of old tax returns, probably hoping I'd never look. But I run a printing business. I notice documents the way mechanics notice engine trouble. The Rusty Anchor is exactly the kind of dive bar where secrets go to die. Dark wood, darker beer, and the kind of regulars who treat gossip like currency. I've been coming here since college, back when I thought life would be simpler. "You look like hell," says Davy Baxter, sliding a beer across the bar. Davy's an ex-cop who traded his badge for a bartender's license after a shooting went sideways 5 years ago. He's got the kind of face that invites confessions. Weathered, knowing, completely trustworthy. "Elise left me," I say, loud enough for Monica Hartwell to hear. Monica works at the bank with Elise and has the biggest mouth in 3 counties. She's sitting 2 stools down, pretending to watch the baseball game while obviously listening. "Jesus, Jonah, I'm sorry." Davy's sympathy sounds genuine. What happened? She's pregnant with her ex-boyfriend's baby. I take a long pull of beer, playing the wounded husband perfectly. They're moving to Portland together. Monica's head turns slightly. Bingo. That's rough, man. Really rough. Davy refills my glass without being asked. You need anything? Place to crash? Someone to talk to? Actually, yeah. I lean closer, lowering my voice just enough to make Monica strain to hear. I need someone to keep an eye on them, make sure she's really okay, you know? I still care about her. Davy nods. He understands the code. I'm not asking him to spy out of love. I'm asking him to gather ammunition. But Monica doesn't know that. I can do that, he says. Graham Loring, right? I remember that prick from high school. That's him, still driving that blue BMW like he's compensating for something. Monica finishes her wine and leaves, practically vibrating with the need to spread this juicy gossip. By tomorrow morning, half the town will know that poor Jonah Crane got dumped for his high school nemesis. So, what's the real story? Davy asks after she's gone. I slide him a copy of the medical report. He reads it, whistles low. Sterile as a surgical instrument, he says. So, what's her game? That's what I want to find out. Can you tail them? Old school style, no fancy tech, just good old-fashioned surveillance. It'll cost you. I've got money saved. Money Elise doesn't know about, from a side printing job I've been doing for a law firm. Cash payments, no records. I want to know where they go, who they talk to, what they're really planning. Davy pockets the cash I slide across the bar. Consider it done. But Jonah, be careful. Revenge has a way of eating people alive. Good thing I'm already dead inside. The next morning, I open Crane Printing at 7 sharp. Same as always. The shop smells like ink and paper, familiar comforting smells that remind me why I love this business. My employee, Sam Rodriguez, is already setting up the big press for a wedding invitation job. Morning, boss. How's Elise? Gone, I say, hanging up my jacket. Left me for another man. Sam stops what he's doing. Jesus, Mr. Crane, I'm sorry. These things happen. Life goes on. I boot up the computer, checking our orders for the day. Sam, I need you to handle things here for a few hours. I've got some personal business to take care of. Sure thing. Whatever you need. Graham's loft is in the trendy part of downtown, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. The kind of place that screams, I have money and want everyone to know it. I park across the street and wait. They emerge around 10, Graham looking smug, Elise looking confused. She's holding the medical report I gave him. Even from a distance, I can see she's upset. They argue on the sidewalk. Graham's gesturing angrily, pointing at the papers. Elise is crying, real tears this time, not the pretty ones she used last night. Finally, Graham gets in his car and drives away, leaving her standing there alone. I could go to her, play the concerned ex-husband, offer her a ride home. But that's not the game I'm playing. Instead, I call Davy. It's starting, I tell him. Graham just dumped her on the street. Want me to pick her up? No, let her figure it out. But keep watching. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. Elise shows up at the print shop that afternoon, looking like she's been through a blender. Her makeup is smeared, her hair disheveled, and she's carrying everything she owns in 2 suitcases. He threw me out, she says, standing in my doorway like a lost child. Graham, he said I was a liar, that I was trying to trap him with a fake pregnancy. I look up from the invoice I'm printing, keeping my expression neutral. Are you... What? Trying to trap him with a fake pregnancy? She stares at me like I've slapped her. Jonah, how can you ask me that? Pretty easily, actually. You told me you were pregnant with his baby. He says you're lying. Someone's not telling the truth. And I'm betting it's not Graham. Sam pretends to be busy with the press, but I can tell he's listening to every word. I need a place to stay, Elise says, her voice small. Just for tonight. Until I can figure things out. No. The word hangs in the air like smoke. No? You made your choice, Elise. You left me for him. The fact that it didn't work out doesn't mean you get to come crawling back. But I have nowhere else to go. I shrug. There's a motel on Route 9, clean sheets, cable TV, and they don't ask questions about fake pregnancies. She stares at me for a long moment, maybe seeing me clearly for the first time in years. Then she picks up her suitcases and walks out. Sam looks at me like I've grown a second head. Boss, that was cold. Sometimes cold is what people deserve. That evening, Davy calls with an update. Your wife's at the Sleepy Inn on Route 9, just like you predicted. Paid cash for 3 nights. Graham went to his office after he dumped her, stayed there until about 6, then he went home, ordered Chinese food, and watched Netflix. Real heartbroken, this guy. What about her friends? Monica, Jade, the usual suspects? Funny you should ask. Monica visited Elise at the motel around 4. They talked for about an hour. Then Monica left looking pissed off. Jade showed up around 7 with a bottle of wine and a box of tissues. Interesting. Keep watching. I want to know everyone who talks to her. You got it. Oh, and Jonah? I did some digging on Graham. Guy's got some interesting connections. His sister Trish works for a private investigation firm. Might want to keep that in mind. Trish Loring. I remember her from high school, Graham's younger sister, quiet, smart, always watching from the sidelines. I dated her briefly senior year, nothing serious. At least I didn't think it was serious. Thanks for the heads up. I spend the evening going through Elise's things, boxing them up like I promised. But I'm not just packing, I'm investigating. 8 years of marriage leaves a lot of evidence lying around. In her jewelry box, I find a receipt from a fancy restaurant downtown. Date stamp from 3 weeks ago, dinner for 2, bill paid in cash. We didn't go to any fancy restaurants 3 weeks ago. I was working late on a big printing job, and she said she was having dinner with her sister. Her sister lives in California. In her desk drawer, I find a credit card statement for an account I didn't know existed. Charges for lingerie, expensive perfume, a weekend at a bed and breakfast in the mountains. All from the last 2 months. And tucked inside her copy of Eat, Pray, Love, because of course she owns Eat, Pray, Love, I find a handwritten note. Can't wait to see you tonight. Wear the red dress. Gee. Dated 6 months ago? So this isn't some sudden passion. This has been going on for months, maybe longer. And if it's been going on that long, why the sudden urgency to leave? Why the fake pregnancy story? I called Davy back. I need you to dig deeper. This whole thing feels like a setup. What kind of setup? The kind where I'm not the sufferer, I'm the target. The next morning brings answers I wasn't expecting. Davy shows up at the print shop with a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. You were right about this being a setup, he says, dropping the folder on my desk. But it's worse than you thought. I open the folder. Inside are photographs, credit reports, phone records, and what looks like a detailed timeline of my marriage. Where did you get this? Let's just say I still have friends in law enforcement. Your wife's been under surveillance, Jonah. Professional surveillance. Someone's been tracking her movements, her spending, her relationships. I flip through the photos. Elise meeting Graham at various restaurants and hotels. Elise shopping with Monica and Jade. Elise visiting a lawyer's office downtown. All dated, all professionally shot with telephoto lenses. Who's behind this? That's where it gets interesting. The surveillance was paid for by Trish Loring, Graham's sister. The name hits me like a punch to the gut. Trish, you remember her? We dated in high school. It ended badly. I set down the photos, my mind racing. She was pregnant, or thought she was. I panicked, broke up with her, started dating someone else. She lost the baby a week later. Pregnancy loss? I don't know. I was 18 and stupid. I never asked. The guilt I've carried for 20 years suddenly makes sense. She blamed me? According to my source, she's blamed you for everything that went wrong in her life since then. Failed relationships, career setbacks, family problems. You're her white whale, Jonah. I studied the timeline more carefully. The surveillance started 8 months ago, right around the time Elise started acting distant and secretive. So Trish hired someone to watch Elise, looking for leverage? More than that. Look at page 12. I flip to page 12 and find transcripts of phone conversations. Elise talking to Monica about feeling trapped in her marriage. Elise complaining to Jade about my lack of ambition. Elise wondering if she'd made a mistake marrying me. They recorded her phone calls? Looks like it. And then someone, I'm guessing Trish, used those recordings to approach Graham, convince him that your wife was unhappy and looking for a way out. The pieces click into place like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. Graham didn't seduce Elise. He was recruited to seduce her. Bingo. This whole thing was designed to destroy your marriage and leave you humiliated. The fake pregnancy was probably Trish's idea. Make you think your wife was carrying another man's child. Maximize the emotional damage. I close the folder, my hands surprisingly steady. But they didn't count on me fighting back. No, they didn't. Question is, what do you want to do about it? I look around my print shop, the business I built from nothing, the life I created through hard work and determination. Trish Loring wants to destroy me because of something that happened when we were kids? Fine, let's see how she likes playing with a grown-up. I want to destroy them, I say, all of them. Elise, Graham, Trish, and anyone else who helped. Davy grins. Now you're talking my language. That afternoon, I drive to Graham's office building downtown. It's one of those glass towers that look impressive but feel soulless. His company, Loring Cybersecurity Solutions, occupies the 15th floor. The receptionist is young, blonde, and clearly impressed by expensive suits. I'm wearing jeans and a work shirt, so she barely looks up when I walk in. I'm here to see Graham Loring, I tell her. Do you have an appointment? Tell him Jonah Crane is here. He'll see me. She makes the call, speaks quietly into her headset, then looks surprised. He says to send you back. Last office on the right. Graham's office is exactly what I expected. Massive desk, leather chairs, wall-mounted TV showing stock prices. He's standing by the window, looking out at the city like he owns it. Jonah, I wondered when you'd show up. Did you? I closed the door behind me. Or did Trish tell you I'd come? He turns around and for the first time since high school, I see uncertainty in his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. I toss the surveillance photos on his desk. Your sister's been watching my wife for 8 months. You didn't seduce Elise. You were hired to seduce her. Graham glances at the photos, then back at me. You're crazy. Am I? Then explain these. I spread out more photos, phone records, the timeline. Explain why Trish paid a private investigator to follow my wife. Explain why you suddenly developed an interest in a woman you hadn't seen since high school. He sits down heavily in his chair. You ruined her life. I was 18 years old. She loved you, really loved you, and when she needed you most, you threw her away like garbage. She lost the baby, Graham. I couldn't have prevented that. But you could have been there for her. Instead, you moved on to someone else before she was even out of the hospital. The guilt hits me again, sharper this time. Because he's right. I was a coward 20 years ago and Trish paid the price. So this is payback. This is justice. He leans back in his chair, some of his confidence returning. Trish wanted you to feel what she felt. Abandoned, betrayed, humiliated. And Elise, what about her? Elise is a grown woman who made her own choices. Nobody forced her to cheat on you. But you manipulated her, used her unhappiness against her. Graham shrugs. Like I said, she made her own choices. I stand up, collecting the photos. You know what the funny thing is? I might have felt guilty about this. Might have thought I deserved it. But you made one mistake. What's that? You hurt an innocent person to get to me. Elise might be a cheater and a liar, but she didn't deserve to be used as a weapon in your sister's revenge fantasy. I walk to his desk, lean over it until we're face to face. So now I'm going to hurt you back. All of you. And unlike Trish, I'm not going to wait 20 years to do it. I turn to leave, then pause at the door. Oh, and Graham? That antique record player by your window? The one you're so proud of? He looks over at his prized 1960s turntable, the centerpiece of his office decor. I walk over and push it off its stand. It hits the floor with a satisfying crash, vinyl records scattering everywhere. Oops, I say. Accidents happen. I leave him staring at the wreckage, and for the first time in days, I'm smiling. The Autumn Harvest Festival is Millfield's biggest social event of the year. Main Street gets closed to traffic, local businesses set up booths, and everyone in town shows up to see and be seen. It's also the perfect place to destroy someone's reputation. I've spent the last week preparing, not just gathering evidence. I already have enough to bury Graham, Trish, and Elise, but planning the perfect public execution. You sure about this? Davey asks, helping me set up my booth. Officially, I'm here representing Crane Printing, handing out business cards and promotional materials. Unofficially, I'm here to detonate a social nuclear bomb. I'm sure. I arrange the display boards carefully, making sure they can't be seen from the front. They wanted to humiliate me in private. I'm going to return the favor in public. The festival is in full swing by noon. Families with kids, teenagers trying to look cool, elderly couples holding hands and reminiscing about festivals past. The perfect, wholesome American scene. Graham arrives around 1, looking confident and relaxed. He's wearing khakis and a polo shirt, playing the successful businessman enjoying a community event. Several people stop to talk to him, potential clients, old friends, local politicians. He's working the crowd like a pro. Elise shows up a few minutes later with Monica and Jade flanking her like bodyguards. She's dressed conservatively, playing the wronged woman with dignity. A few people approach her with sympathetic looks and hushed conversations. The story has already spread. Poor Elise, trapped in an unhappy marriage, finally finding the courage to leave. Trish is harder to spot, but I find her eventually, standing near the bandstand with a camera, still documenting everything, still gathering intelligence. Some habits die hard. At 2 o'clock, I make my move. "Ladies and gentlemen," I call out, stepping up to the microphone at the bandstand. The mayor was supposed to give a speech, but he's running late, and the sound system is already set up. "Can I have your attention, please?" The crowd turns toward me, curious but not alarmed. I'm a local business owner, a familiar face. They expect me to make some announcement about the printing shop or maybe thank everyone for their support during my difficult time. My name is Jonah Crane, and I want to tell you a story about love, betrayal, and revenge. Now I have their attention. 3 days ago, my wife left me for another man. She told me she was pregnant with his child and needed to start a new life. It was heartbreaking, but I respected her decision. After all, if you love someone, you let them go, right? I can see Elise in the crowd, her face pale with growing panic. Graham is pushing through the crowd, trying to get closer to the stage. But then I discovered something interesting. My wife can't have children. She's been sterile for years due to a medical condition. So either we're dealing with a miraculous conception, or someone was lying. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. People are starting to pull out their phones, recording everything. But that's not the most interesting part. The most interesting part is why she lied. I pull out the first display board, turning it so the crowd can see. It's a blown-up photo of Elise and Graham together at a restaurant, clearly intimate, clearly romantic. This photo was taken 6 months ago. 6 months. So much for a sudden passion? More murmurs, louder now. I can see Monica and Jade trying to pull Elise away, but she's frozen in place. But wait, there's more. I reveal the second display board. Phone records, credit card statements, hotel receipts. A 6-month affair, paid for with a secret credit card, expensive restaurants, weekend getaways, lingerie purchases. All while she was telling me we needed to save money for our future. The crowd is fully engaged now, like spectators at a particularly juicy soap opera. Graham has stopped trying to reach the stage and is backing away instead. Now you might be thinking, "Jonah, this is between you and your wife. Why are you airing your dirty laundry in public?" And that's a fair question. I reveal the third display board, the surveillance photos, the timeline, the evidence of Trish's involvement. Because this wasn't just an affair. This was a carefully planned operation designed to destroy my marriage and humiliate me in front of everyone I know. An operation planned and funded by Trish Loring, executed by her brother Graham, and carried out by my own wife. The crowd gasps. This is better than cable TV. You see, 20 years ago, I dated Trish Loring in high school. It ended badly. I was young and stupid and handled it poorly. She's been planning her revenge ever since, waiting for the perfect opportunity to pay me back. I can see Trish now, no longer hiding behind her camera. She's standing near the edge of the crowd, her face a mask of rage and humiliation. So they recruited my wife, fed her dissatisfaction with our marriage, and convinced her to have an affair. The plan was to leave me devastated and alone while they rode off into the sunset together. I reveal the final display board, the medical records, the fake pregnancy test, the evidence of the elaborate deception. But they made one mistake. They underestimated me. The crowd is completely silent now, hanging on every word. Graham Loring runs a cybersecurity company, but he couldn't secure his own email. Trish Loring is a private investigator, but she left a paper trail a blind man could follow. And my wife, well, my wife thought I was too stupid and too in love to figure out what was happening. I step back from the microphone, looking out at the sea of faces. They were wrong. The silence stretches for a long moment. Then someone in the crowd starts clapping. Others join in. Within seconds, I'm getting a standing ovation from half the town. Graham tries to leave, but people are blocking his path, demanding answers. Elise is crying, real tears this time, as her friends abandon her. Monica and Jade are backing away like she has a contagious disease. Trish is the only one who doesn't run. She pushes through the crowd until she's standing right in front of the stage. "You coward!" she screams. "You destroyed my life!" "No," I say, still holding the microphone. "You destroyed your own life. I just gave you the opportunity." She lunges at the stage, but Davy and a couple of other guys hold her back. 20 years, she screams. 20 years I've been planning this. Maybe you should have spent those 20 years getting therapy instead. The crowd laughs, and that's the final humiliation. Trish breaks free from the men holding her and runs, disappearing into the crowd. Graham finally makes it to his car, but not before someone spray paints "liar" across his windshield. Elise is sitting on a bench, completely alone, staring at her hands. I pack up my display boards and head home, leaving the festival in chaos behind me. 3 days later, the fallout is still spreading like ripples from a stone thrown in a pond. Graham's business is hemorrhaging clients. Nobody wants to hire a cybersecurity expert who can't keep his own secrets safe. Elise got fired from the bank after her affair became public knowledge. Monica and Jade are facing their own social exile for helping cover up the deception. But I'm not done yet. The Sleepy Inn is exactly as depressing as it sounds. Faded carpet, flickering neon sign, and the kind of clientele that pays in cash and doesn't ask for receipts. Elise has been living here since Graham threw her out, surviving on the money in her secret account. I knock on the door of room 237. "Go away," she calls out. "It's me." A long pause, then the door opens, revealing my wife of 8 years, looking like a ghost of herself. She's wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, no makeup, her hair unwashed. The transformation is startling. "What do you want, Jonah?" "To talk." She lets me in. The room smells like stale cigarettes and despair. There's an empty wine bottle on the nightstand, fast food containers scattered around, tissues everywhere. "Come to gloat?" she asks, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Actually, I came to give you this." I hand her an envelope. She opens it, pulls out a check for $50,000. "What's this for?" "Your share of our joint savings account. I'm closing it tomorrow." She stares at the check like it might disappear. "I don't understand." "It's simple. Take the money and leave town. Tonight. Don't come back." "And if I don't?" I sit down in the room's single chair, making myself comfortable. "Then I release the rest of the evidence. The photos of you with Graham in compromising positions. The recordings of your phone calls where you laugh about how stupid and boring I am. The video of you and your friends planning how to take me for everything in the divorce." Her face goes white. "You recorded us?" "Davey's very good at his job. Did you really think that girl's night at Monica's house was private? Or that conversation in Jade's car was secure?" She looks at the check again, then back at me. $50,000 won't last long. "Then you'd better find a job, somewhere far away from here." "I have nowhere to go." "That's not my problem anymore." She starts crying again, but I feel nothing. The woman I loved for 8 years is gone, if she ever really existed in the first place. "Why are you doing this?" she asks. "Because you chose to hurt me. You could have asked for a divorce. You could have been honest about being unhappy. Instead, you chose to humiliate me and destroy our marriage for someone else's revenge fantasy. I never meant for it to go this far. But you did mean for it to go somewhere. You made a choice, Elise. Now live with the consequences." I stand up to leave. "Jonah, wait." She looks up at me with those green eyes that once made me forget my own name. "Do you think someday could you ever forgive me?" I consider the question seriously, looking at this broken woman who used to be my wife. "No," I say finally. "I don't think I could." I leave her sitting there with the check and walk out into the night. The next morning, room 237 is empty. The desk clerk says she checked out around midnight, paid her bill in cash, and left in a taxi. No forwarding address. Graham and Trish are gone too. Graham's office is closed, his apartment empty. Trish disappeared the night of the festival and hasn't been seen since. Word is they left town together, siblings united in their mutual disgrace. Monica got demoted at the bank and is looking for a new job. Jade's husband filed for divorce after learning about her role in the affair. The social circle that once revolved around my wife has collapsed completely. I'm at the Rusty Anchor, celebrating my victory with a beer and the satisfaction of a job well done. Davey is working the bar, cleaning glasses, and listening to the regular customers rehash the festival drama for the 100th time. "Any regrets?" he asks, refilling my glass. I think about it. 8 years of marriage, gone. A woman I once loved, destroyed. 3 people driven out of town in disgrace. "No," I say. "No regrets." "What about Trish? You feel bad about what happened to her in high school?" "I feel bad about how I handled it then. But what she did now? That was her choice. She could have confronted me, talked to me, even sued me if she thought I owed her something. Instead, she chose to destroy an innocent person to get to me. And Elise? She was innocent once. Once. but not anymore. Davy nods, understanding. He's seen enough human nature in his years as a cop and bartender to know that some people choose to be sufferers and others choose to be survivors. So what now? He asks. Now I get back to my life. Run my business, maybe find someone who won't lie to me about being pregnant. Think you can trust anyone again? I think I can trust myself, and that's enough. The bar is filling up with the usual evening crowd, people who work hard for their money, who value honesty and loyalty, who understand that actions have consequences. My people. Mrs. Rourke comes in around 8, unusual for her, but not unprecedented. She orders a glass of wine and sits next to me at the bar. Heard Elise left town, she says. Did she? Saw her getting into a taxi around midnight, had her suitcases with her. Interesting. Also heard Graham Loring's office is for rent, and his sister hasn't been seen since the festival. The rumor mill works fast in this town. She sips her wine, studying me with sharp eyes. You know, I've lived next door to you for 5 years. Watched you leave for work every morning, come home every night. Watched you mow your lawn, shovel your driveway, bring in Elise's packages when she wasn't home. Okay. You're a good man, Jonah. Whatever happened between you and those people, I'm sure they deserved it. She finishes her wine, leaves a tip, and walks out. The neighborhood watch has spoken, Davy says with a grin. Apparently. I finish my beer and head home to my empty house. But it doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels clean, like a fresh start. On my kitchen table, I find a manila envelope that wasn't there when I left. No return address, no postmark, hand-delivered. Inside is a single sheet of paper with a phone number written in Trisha's handwriting. Below the number, a message. This isn't over. I crumple up the paper and throw it in the trash. Then I pour myself a bourbon, sit in my favorite chair, and smile. She's right. It's not over. It's just beginning. But this time, I'll be ready. Because I learned something important over the last week. I learned that I'm not the sufferer in this story. I'm the villain, and I'm very, very good at it. The next morning, I open Crane Printing at 7 sharp, same as always. Sam is already there, setting up the press for the day's jobs. Morning, boss. How are you feeling? Like a new man, Sam. Like a completely new man. I hang up my jacket and get to work, humming an old song I can't quite remember the words to. Outside, the sun is shining, birds are singing, and somewhere in the distance, a car backfires. Or maybe it's just the sound of my old life finally dying. Either way, it sounds like music to me. She said she'd never come back. For once, she told the truth. That's the last favor I'll ever do for her.